part of working as a freelancer, or perhaps any kind of position working in creative international projects, is to really think about the relationships that you're building and to really concentrate on the people that are involved. So I think a lot of my work, particularly more recently, has been gained through word of mouth and through doing certain types of projects. Working well, finishing a job well and being cooperative in that process, I think has really helped. And also maintaining those good relationships, whether that's something in the way that you work, or whether it's kind of keeping in touch with people and kind of reminding them that you're there and reminding them of the type of work that you're doing, but also thinking about what their needs and pressures are as well, to think if there's a way that you can sort of help with what they need in a way. I think in writing and editing, it's really great to have connections who are also writers and editors, so that if you have extra work, you can kind of recommend someone else, or you can pass work their way. So I think those kind of reciprocal relationships as well can really help, particularly if you're kind of short of work or if you need something to sort of fill a gap. I think another thing that I've learned, and perhaps I'm reflecting more on it recently, is that it's not necessary to chase every opportunity and every possibility and every relationship there is out there. There's so much fantastic work going on in this sector and in the area that I work in, but it can feel a bit exhausting, and it's kind of a matter of finding your path and finding the way you like to work, the type of people you like to work with. Working as a freelancer, particularly as I do from my home, I'm working on a lot of text and a lot of writing and research. I guess it can feel a bit like, you're stuck doing the same thing every day. Personally, I'm really interested in the projects that I'm writing about. For example, in Culture 360, the cultural platform of the Asia Europe Foundation, it gathers together opportunities, events and news items from Asia and Europe. And I think the interesting part for me, even though the process of the writing and the posting and all of that technical side is very much the same, the projects themselves are really fascinating. So for me, it's a chance to really see what's going on, and also to explore perhaps countries that I don't know as well. I'm quite lucky because the content in a way is always new, and the topics are new, and there's always artists or organisations sort of taking a new perspective of how they'll do an open call, or how they'll do the methodology of their projects. So for me, I feel quite lucky that there is this diversity. And I think that's perhaps why I'm also drawn to be working as a freelancer, because you do have that chance to choose your own projects in a way. I think one thing I've learned is that it's not as difficult or as complex as I first imagined it was when I started out. So when I was first working in arts management in Australia, and I saw these fantastic big collaborations, where festivals would invite these big projects and you'd have this co-creation happening. And I thought, that's amazing, that must be so complex. But I think what I've discovered is often starting this or building them in certain ways doesn't have to be that complicated, I think for me, often it started with a conversation with me approaching someone saying, hey, I've got this idea, what do you think? And then it might lead to something, and then they say, I know this person, and let's involve them. So it just, in some ways, it can kind of grow. We're all people and individuals behind these projects as well. So that's something that I've been reminded of time and again, that you see this big project and you think, I can't contact them, but then when you send them an email, you think, this person's actually really lovely. So I think that's been a great discovery as well, and just being able to get in touch with different people and have really interesting conversations, even if a project doesn't develop after that. I think another important thing that I always try and remember is that working internationally, it's always an ongoing learning process. I think no matter how many international collaborations or co-productions or projects that you've done, each one is new and each one has different variables. So I think often I need to remind myself to think, okay, is there something that I'm missing here? Particularly, I think this happens with with communications within teams, I guess, particularly for the work that I'm doing, which is sort of mostly remote, and I'm commissioned to do something. What I try and do is sort of keep communication open, and if anything, over communicate, because I think there can be a lot of nuance and misunderstanding hidden within these communications sometimes, which can derail a project. So not necessarily the project activities or outcomes itself, but the way we talk with one another, the expectations that we have about a project, about how quickly the project should or shouldn't be done, about how much reflecting process there is or there's time for the consultation processes. This is something that I'm always reminded of, that every context is so different. And within a country context, there is also so many different levels of complexity and ways of working, which can vary quite a lot. So even if you've had a partner within a particular context and you think, oh, I know the way it works, but then you kind of work with another partner and it's entirely different. So I think it can be very exciting, but then it can also be a bit of a challenge when you have something to deliver on a timeline, particularly working internationally. Taking this time to communicate well and to think about the ways that everyone is working is really vital. I think what's really exciting about working as a freelancer across international projects is that there's no one way of working, there's no one way of kind of putting your career together, which can be a challenge, but I think it's a great opportunity for everyone to kind of lean into their strengths and their way of working and really find the path to that. I think it can potentially take some time. It's a bit of a process to kind of find where you fit, what kind of work you like doing. But I think there's flexibility and there's the ability to kind of choose your projects in a way that helps you discover that perhaps more quickly than if you're within an organisational structure. I think when I first started working in arts management and then thinking about how I really wanted to work in this field and thinking, how can I work internationally and how can I work in an interdisciplinary kind of way, and how can I do this working on like cultural platforms or research projects, I think I definitely didn't think it would be possible to be doing exactly that full time. So I think having persistence and kind of slowly gaining the experience through smaller jobs that turn into bigger jobs, finding the organisations that you like working with and kind of getting commissioned a couple of times, building on that and finding your path, you can kind of get to a place potentially where you can do that kind of work that you really enjoy 100% of your day. And I think that's what's really interesting and exciting about working as a freelancer.